Welcome back, everyone, to Kyle's Big Board presented by the Straight Facts Podcast, a series where we take a topic, we rank it, and we count it down. We're, of course, doing our NFC preview series, and James Jackson's going to be here with me for all of them. So we just did the NFC East. That's episode 1. And now we're going to shift to the NFC North here in episode 2 ahead of the 2021 season. So we're actually going to do this for every division, if you guys haven't caught on yet. So be on the lookout for all 8 videos. And my question of the day is, who's going to win the NFC North? Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. And James, kick off our video. Who's going to win the NFC North?
Who's going to win the North? Now, if Aaron didn't get his situation right or his act together, this would be literally a wide open division. Now that he's back there and him and Devontae kind of got this last dance mentality, it's the last ride for both of us together. There's no way the Green Bay Packers don't win the NFC North. They had a chokehold on it last year. You know, they got the NFC Championship, so that's who I see. But I'm not the authority on these big boards, so let's go.
I'm not mad at that. I think a lot of people think that way, right? I think it's a little tighter than people think, though. But we're gonna start at the bottom. We're gonna start with the number 4 team in the NFC North, and that's gonna be the Detroit Lions. And to be honest, I think this is unanimous for everyone. There's not much to talk about here. I think they're gonna be one of the worst teams in football, to be honest. I mean, DeAndre Swift is a bright spot. But around him, especially offensively, I just see downgrades everywhere. They went from Matt Stafford to Jared Goff. They went from Galladay, Marvin Jones, and Danny Amendola to a bunch of wide receivers who are no names and unproven in the NFL. I think Brashard Perriman could be all right, but outside of that, I don't even know who they're going to be throwing the ball to. And the big thing is, they were already a bad team. They only had 5 wins last season, so there's no doubt in my mind that I'm ranking the Lions number 4 in the NFC North.
Yeah, the Lions are laughs right now. They really are. Yep. And it started when Dan Campbell talked about biting people's kneecaps when they get up off the turf and stuff. So the Lions are down bad right now. We haven't got to spend that much time on them.
I agree. Now, the other 3 teams I think are good teams. So we're going to start with number 3 in the NFC North, and that's the Bears. So Justin Fields is now obviously quarterback for the Bears. I think Andy Dalton might start, but we're going to see one of those things where by week 4, I expect to see Justin Fields starting. David Montgomery is a real solid back who had, some of the best running games that we saw last season towards the end of last season. So expect him to expand on that. And they still have Allen Robinson at wide receiver, who is sneakily a top 10 receiver in the league. You might not agree, but he's damn close. So I think they have the pieces to make some noise this season and the defense to back it up. So I think the Bears will be one of the better 3-ranked teams in this whole big board series. I think the NFC North's a good division outside the Lions. So I expect them to, maybe be fighting for a wild card spot. But in terms of the NFC North, I'm going to have them ranked 3.
No, I agree with you where you have them. Like, there will be a time for Chicago. It's not there yet. And I think it's because Andy Dalton deserves to start, maybe sit Justin Fields for a little bit. But there's going to be a time where Justin Fields starts. But that slow start is what's not going to let them get the division. You're right. They make a 10 for a wild card. But this is not a this year thing for the Bears. But it's in the near future. They're not too far.
Yep.
They're definitely
as a Bears fan, I'm still high expectations going into this season. Because if you make the playoffs, that's a good season. And I think they're a team that could do it. But we will move to number 2. Obviously, James said the Packers were his pick, and the Packers are going to be my pick. I got the Minnesota Vikings at number 2. It's hard for me to actually, decide between them and the Packers, but because I definitely am high on the Vikings. But I expect them to have, around 11 wins this season. They lost a lot of tight games last year, ended up 7-9, but the bright spots were very bright. Specifically, you look at Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, who are both very young, but also very talented and could potentially be top 5 players at their positions, both of them this year. Not to mention they have arguably the best number 2 wide receiver in the league outside of the Tennessee Titans, but that's Adam Thielen for the Vikings. I mean, they lost a couple guys on defense. All the core pieces are still there, but I expect them to win these games, these tight ones, because last season that team easily could have won 10 games, finished 7-9. I think we see a different story this year because if this team clicks, they can beat just about anyone in the league.
I never know how to judge the Vikings. And it's because Kirk Cousins is their quarterback. That's literally why I can't judge them. Like, Kirk Cousins is as close to me, is getting very close to Jameis Winston without being Jameis Winston. Where one week you're like, this dude stinks. Like, I don't know why he's still a starting quarterback. And then the next week you're like, oh, well, there's flashes of the, $30 million a year man, Kirk Cousins. So there's a roller coaster ride there in Minnesota. And I guess it lands them at number 2, man. If that's where you decide to go, I guess that's where they land because I can't decide where they go.
Me and my dad had the running joke that Kirk Cousins doesn't play until the second half.
He really doesn't.
If you look at his first and second half splits, this man is like all NFL potential in the second half, but scores like 7 points in the first half at all times. So
Yeah.
if he puts that together, I mean, I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's better than a lot of quarterbacks in this league and definitely deserves to start. So if it clicks, I know you don't like him.
Yeah, he's like one wheel off the road, man. He's so close to flying off the rails of this thing.
All right, we'll see. So
Mm.
number one, obviously, will be the Packers. After a weird offseason, they were able to bring back their key guys, and they're going to look for the Super Bowl title that they keep falling short of. Devontae Adams, to me, is the best receiver in the league, and he's paired with one of the best quarterbacks maybe of all time. So, of course, they were 13-3 last season, and I think they'll be contending for that number one seed in the NFC yet again. I'm big on their defense, too, especially their secondary, and they have the pieces on offense to blow you out when the defense does do the job. So personally, I think they should cruise to a playoff spot, probably the NFC North title. Maybe the Vikings can give them a run, but if not, definitely a wild card lock for me. And this is one of like 5 teams you put on that Super Bowl short list going into the season.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said in the beginning of the video, Aaron Rodgers coming back like brings their team leaps and bounds, and it's different when there's a sense of urgency behind it. There's always a little bit when you're in a championship window. There's always a voice in the back of your head like this doesn't last long, but it's different when it's literally tangible that this is the last ride. This is the last opportunity we have to do it. And I think when you put a battery in someone's back like that, especially Aaron Rodgers, look out for the league. So definitely number one in the NFC North, no question.
Yep. So last episode, of course, we did the NFC East, where we're probably only looking at one playoff team, the division winner. How many playoff teams are you seeing out of the NFC North this season?
I'm gonna say two. I'm not gonna pencil or I'm not gonna put my money on the Chicago Bears making the playoffs yet. I mean they absolutely snuck into the playoffs last year, and for that to happen twice, that would be a huge collapse on the league. So I'm gonna say two, the Packers and the Vikings, and I'm not even all that confident in the Vikings. But if I had to put, if I had to bet on, if I'm a betting man like Jake, I'm putting two.
Yeah, I'm gonna say two, but I think the Bears will finish like 8th in the NFC, so they might have a shot to get in.
All right,
But
extra wild
that is
card.
all. Yep, that is all for today's video. If you missed the last one, of course, this was episode 2. Go check that one out and be ready for the next 6, baby. Me and James are here to give you everything you need to know, breaking down division by division going into the season. I hope you guys enjoyed the big board. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I hope you're getting buckets, and we'll see you guys next time.